I thought I was middle class. I now realise I'm actually classified as working poor.
I find it incredible that the young don't realise how they're being shafted.
If you thought traffic was bad, the rental crisis was bad, and houses were too expensive in Melbourne, well, it's about to get a whole lot worse.
Bro, the cost of living in Australia is fucked.
Now, I'm not one to get political, but the cost of living crisis is getting out of control. And
just once, I'd like to get back in my car after being in Coles or Woolworths and not feel like I've been taken for a complete ride.
Christmas in Australia was once a season of joy, family, and celebration, a time when households came together, shared meals, exchanged gifts, and felt the warmth of community. But now, for millions of Australians, it feels more like a test of survival than a holiday. Everything is expensive, rent is sky high, groceries cost more every week, fuel drains wallets, and inflation has turned even the basics into luxuries. Families who once looked forward to Christmas dinners and gifts are now forced to cut back, to choose between paying bills or buying presents, between keeping the lights on or putting food on the table. Parents are skipping traditions, children are waking up to smaller celebrations, and the holiday spirit is being replaced with quiet anxiety. The Christmas table itself tells the story. What used to be a spread of abundance is now stripped down to essentials. Meat is rationed, desserts are skipped, and even simple ingredients feel out of reach. The joy of giving has been replaced with guilt, as parents explain to their children why Santa can't afford the same gifts anymore. This isn't just about Christmas, it's about dignity. It's about the cost of living crisis that has stolen joy from everyday life. It's about the reality that in 2025, Australians aren't celebrating. They're struggling to survive the most expensive Christmas yet. And behind the lights, the carols and the decorations lies a truth too heavy to ignore. The holiday spirit is collapsing under the weight of bills, rent, and inflation.
You know, the minimum wage in Australia should actually be $76 today in order to match the rate at which you can buy a home on minimum wage back in the 1950s.
This is what the national minimum wage in Australia will be from July the 1st. It's a 3.75% increase in dark blue on the chart. And while it's only just above inflation, in light blue, it has been below it in previous years. The Fair Work Commission says it can't go any higher because labour productivity hasn't improved in 4 years, and we're all set to benefit from a number of things like tax cuts, a rise in the superannuation guarantee which employers must pay into your super fund, along with various cost of living budget measures like energy bill relief, all starting from July the 1st. It also believes this increase is in line with returning inflation to below 3% by 2025, and that's important because it would support the move to lower official interest rates.
It now costs an Australian family $10,000 more to buy groceries in Australia, causing 3.7 million households struggling to afford their budget. Australia, what the fuck?
Airline prices. That's crazy. Dirty potatoes. Ooh. Quality. Spinach. Cheese and onion. Oh, wow, roast beef. I like beans.
These are like,
Great news. Wage theft is officially becoming a criminal offence. Unfortunately, I'm sure a lot of people have either personally experienced being underpaid or experienced wage theft at work, or they know someone who has. Wage theft and underpayments can take many forms, including failing to pay super, failing to pay breaks and overtime, not paying for trial or training periods, not paying for personal annual or other forms of paid leave entitlements, misclassifying workers as independent contractors, and not paying you for the right rate for acting up in a higher grade. Now, thanks to union members, wage theft is officially becoming a criminal offence on a Commonwealth level as of January 1, 2025. This means there will now be serious consequences for employers who underpay their workers. So if you have concerns that you're being underpaid, then reach out to your union for more info and help.
West Australian residents have some of the highest grocery bills in the country, according to a new report. Finder found families in WA are spending more than $200 on their weekly shopping bill, but working adults and people with older children at home will spend nearly $250 on their groceries each week. Families in New South Wales and Victoria spend roughly $220 at the checkout.
The minimum wage is not enough to live on in Australia. It's approximately $915 a week before tax. Agree?
I'm going to agree.
I'm going to disagree. You go first.
All right, $915. Let's break it down. We're accountants.
Yeah.
All right, it's me, and I've got a wife and a couple of kids. I'm going to live in a unit in Maryland. So that's $500 a week. My kids go to public school. That's fine. I can't really drive a car, can I? Because it's too expensive. All I make is $920 a week.
Yeah.
I get $400 left. I'll go to the markets to buy my fruit. I buy very little meat because I can't afford too much meat. I can't have the internet, right? Because that's expensive. I'll catch a bus. That's fine. My kids get subsidised buses. Education's free. Doctors are free. You know what? I'm going to change it. You can live on the poverty. You can live on the poverty line, and yes, you can survive on $920 as a family.
How the fuck are you supposed to survive in Australia making only $30 an hour? Like, if you haven't noticed, the cost of living nowadays is completely cooked. Like, fucking grocery prices nowadays, bro. I'm spending like $200 to $250 every fucking week on myself. Spending like $300 a week on rent. And because the fuel prices are cooked, man, I'm spending like $100 to $150 every week too. After bills and just all my expenses for the week, I would always be left with like $100 to my name after a full week of work. Now, I could have either saved that money or went out for the weekend and actually enjoyed myself. But, you know, I want to try and get ahead and save for a house for the future, but that's only going to take me fucking, 20 years to save for a 10% deposit. It's just not fucking worth it. Australia's economy is cooked and no one gets paid enough to live nowadays. Seems to me the only way you get ahead nowadays is if you do more overtime or you pick up a second job.
So people from all around the world have been asking me how fucked the cost of living is part 3. Some give it to you. $9.50 for butter. Go fuck yourself. $9.90 for a fucking 3 litre milk. You're off your head. $16 for a fucking piece of fish. Fuck off. $10 for a block of cheese. You're off your head. These chocolates are $16. What a fucking rip-off. $28 for a fucking egg.
Alright, I just been and got the shopping. I'm back home now. Those 3 bags cost me $170. That'll last me 3, maybe 4 days. Food. $170. Nearly $200 to live for 3 or 4 days. What the fuck, Australia? What is this shit? I'm alright. I make enough money to be able to afford my groceries, but I know for a fact there is plenty of people out there that do not. Imagine having to support a whole family on like $1,000 a week when I'm only feeding one person and it's nearly $200 for 3 days. Yeah, okay, I probably eat more than the average person. But still, imagine supporting a family of 5 or 6 off $1,000 a week. You'd pay your rent or your mortgage and the entire rest of your fucking paycheck would be going to freaking groceries, bro.
What's the first word you think of when you hear pay rise? When Peter Dutton heard about Australians getting a pay rise, he said it was disastrous. Bad news for him. Labor is pushing for a real pay rise yet again. We'll advocate for a pay rise for around 3 million low-paid workers across the country. Now, Peter Dutton will cut your pay and raise your taxes. Labor will always back workers because we want you to earn more and keep more of what you earn.
Authorised by Anthony Albanese, LP Canberra.
So I recently moved to Sydney on my 3rd year working holiday visa. Bearing in mind the last time I was in Australia was 2017, and that was when I did years 1 and 2. And now I'm back as a 35-year-old solo traveller. Previously, I came here with my partner and things are a little bit different as a solo traveller. And everybody on TikTok is like, oh my God, Australia is so expensive. It's so hard to get a job. It's so hard to get a house. It's day 4 of me being here. I've secured a room for rent already. And I have had 3 Teams interviews and been put forward for 2 jobs. It's day 4. Like, literally, the people who are saying, oh my God, it's so expensive. Yeah, babe, it's expensive because you're living in Bondi Beach and working in a cafe. Like, what the fuck do you expect?
The cost of living out here in Australia is actually cooked. Let me show you. $13.50 for a block of cheese. Yeah, nah. $6.90 for some fucking milk. $22 for this little box of chocolates. $11 for some fucking juice. Get fucked. $17 for this much bacon.
You know, just once, I'd like to get back in my car after being in Coles or Woolworths and not feel like I've been taken for a complete ride. I spent $23 to get 5 items.
The Christmas table in Australia tells the story of collapse. What used to be a spread of abundance, roast meats, seafood, desserts, and drinks, has been stripped down to bare essentials. Families are rationing portions, skipping dishes, and cutting back on traditions that once defined the holiday. Parents explain to their children why the feast is smaller, why the treats are missing, why the celebration feels thinner than before. Groceries have turned into luxuries. A ham that once symbolized Christmas dinner now feels out of reach. Even simple ingredients like flour, sugar, and fruit are priced like indulgences. Every item on the table carries the weight of sacrifice. Every plate a reminder that inflation has stolen joy from the season.
2 boxes of biscuits, some Woolworths brand cocoa powder. I thought I was in Coles for a second there. 375 grams. It's not even half a kilo. And that was $8.30 or $8.50. Some breadcrumbs and cheese and bacon rolls. Would you consider $6 for a packet of cheese and bacon rolls to be the sale price? They were on sale for $6, marked down for $6.50.
How I save money as a full-time student. These are just some things I do to help me save money. You absolutely do not have to do these. First, I shop at cheaper buy meals. This is a shop in Footscray. They have really cheap stuff, and I always start off here before I go anywhere else. And of course, your local market sells cheaper fruits and veggies compared to like Coles and Woolies. Came a bit late, so the butchers were closed, but I still managed to get some pretty decent amount of fruits and veg. And lastly, Aldi. Like, I don't care what anybody says, I'll go to Aldi because that Coles and Woolies would not be seeing me with those prices they have.
Now, I'm not one to get political, but the cost of living crisis is getting out of control, and it didn't really hit me until I came to my local barber in Campsie where haircuts are now $10. I've been getting my fade here from a lovely Chinaman since they were $7 haircuts, and I copped the price increase to $8 in 2022, but since then the price has skyrocketed from $9 haircuts to now $10 haircuts in 2025. With the election on this year, Albo Dudden, if you want to get my vote, how about we address the cost of living for Aussies and the cost of a fade here in Sydney, because $10 for a haircut is outrageous. Back to you in the studio.
Australians, out of interest, what are our housing plans like this generation? Genuinely out of curiosity, like how is anyone planning to buy a house? Obviously I'm not talking like rural town, but everywhere else it's like not affordable. In my area, the average house price is probably like $4 million, which is all well and good to have the deposit for, but no bank is going to give me 3.5 mil. Privileged to live in this area, don't get me wrong. Obviously, with a baby coming, I would love to be able to buy a house and move in and stay near my family, but that is not going to happen. Honestly, we're all cooked.
I thought I was middle class. I now realise I'm actually classified as working poor. So even if you earn an average income, if your rent consumes more than 50 to 60% of your take-home wage, you are working poor. So this is the highest salary I've ever had, but it's also the highest rent I've ever paid. And it's ridiculous that so many other Australians will find that they're in the exact same situation. 3 years ago, middle class. Now, might be earning more, you're working poor. If things don't change, the middle class in Australia will completely disappear within the next couple of years.
Bro, the cost of living in Australia is fucked. Check this shit out. $50 for a can of Coke. For 30 cans. Are you fucking for real, cunt? Bro, you gotta be taking the piss. $8.40 for some deodorant. And that's 30% off. Let's say you want to buy some body wash. $20. What is going on? Bro, just seeing that shit, I don't know how it's even possible to live off, minimum wage now. If minimum wage is $24, how are you meant to afford those sorts of things? I just bought 2 steaks and this orange juice, and it cost me $27. What the fuck? But yeah, something definitely needs to fucking change because it's getting out of hand.
CommBank has just dropped a bombshell in their latest housing forecast, and what they're quietly warning could mean home ownership is dead by 2026 for most Aussies. Here's what triggered this. CBA economists Luke Yeaman and Lucinda Girogan recently published an Australian home prices report forecasting plus 6% growth in 2025 and plus 4% growth in 2026. But here's the catch. Even with those gains, they explicitly warn that housing affordability remains highly stretched, and weaker income growth plus rate headwinds will choke many would-be buyers. In short, yes, prices keep going up, but that's exactly what kills opportunity for new entrants to the housing market.
I find it incredible that the young don't realise how they're being shafted. More than anybody. Let's face it, most of us here have got our own houses, is that right? We own our houses, all right? Who's suffering from this problem? It's the young. The young who can't afford to buy a house, or if they can afford to, they're stuck with this massive mortgage, like $1 million mortgage for decades to come, which is cramping their lifestyle, cramping their ability to have children. I think it's shocking. And not only that, but as was being said before, you've got this issue that we're piling up this debt. There is something absolutely obscene about a wealthy, prosperous society going deeper and deeper and deeper into debt. And who's not going to pay it back? Well, it's not going to be me, because I'll be dead in 20 years, all right? It's my kids and my grandchildren. It's absolutely appalling that we borrow at a time of prosperity.
Ever wonder why the cost of property in Australia is so expensive? Here's why no one actually wants to fix it. Housing in Australia is worth $11.3 trillion. That's just over 3 times more than super and just under 3 times more than the stock market. Over 55% of household wealth is tied up in homes. Meanwhile, our share market is tiny in comparison, and part of that is propped up by super. Our property market is 4.5 times the size of the economy. That's way more than the US, Canada, and even the UK. When most of our wealth is tied to property, declining housing prices would wipe out trillions in perceived wealth. No government wants that on their hands. The truth? Rising house prices equal votes. Declining house prices equal political suicide. So yeah, don't expect much to change. If you're looking to work with the system rather than fight against it, there are ways to get in. Reach out for ways to get into the market that won't break the bank.
We're being warned Melbourne's population could soon boom to the same size as New York City's. More than 9 million people are set to call Melbourne home by 2050.
If you thought traffic was bad, the rental crisis was bad, and houses were too expensive in Melbourne, well, it's about to get a whole lot worse. 9 million people by 2050 sounds insane. Now, this isn't going to cause house prices to boom straight away. In fact, most migrants, when they move to a new place, they will rent for at least 5 years, while they, first of all, save up their deposit and also get their permanent residency in order to buy. So you'll actually see a lot more pressure on the rental market in Melbourne before you see house prices explode. But nonetheless, 9 million people by 2050, that does not sound good for housing affordability. So if home ownership is a goal for you, you should try to get into the market as soon as possible. As always, you can contact me. There is a link in my bio. I am here to help you buy your next property.
Can I ask how much your rent is?
$600 a week. And it goes up in December. Like,
how much is it going up by?
I share with one other person and we split it evenly. It's going up to $1,350. So like we're gonna have to move.
Car spot?
No, like building amenities or anything. I think anyone with a full-time job shouldn't have to pay more than 30% of that income on their rent.
How much do you pay percentage of your income?
Oh God, like too much. Most people around here more closer to 50, I would say.
Right.
Yeah.
Is this like the first place you've rented, or have you lived in cheaper?
I've lived alone in Melbourne for like nearly $420 I think a week, and that wasn't that long ago, so like it's definitely an area specific thing.
Okay, so where would you move if you were going to move to a different area?
I wouldn't. I probably would just like bite the bullet and rent, like just because unfortunately if that's the amount that it is, that's the amount that it is. Honestly, like you look at similar things in the area or like even neighbouring suburbs, you're still looking at an exy figure. So it's like that extra $100 to live in the place that you do want to live. Then
if you're going to be broke, might as well be in Bondi.
100%.
Do you have any aspirations to own property?
Not here. I think if anything, most people would plan on buying when they're a little older, when they want to live like outside of the major cities. I don't think it would be feasible for someone like myself to be looking at buying in Bondi in the next 5 years.
How the fuck are you supposed to survive on $30 an hour? I just got paid and I didn't even get $1,000 for the week of work that I just did. My name's Huddy, I'm 20 years old and I currently live out of home, so I'm paying my own rent, bills, food, fuel, and after paying all my expenses, I'm pretty much left with maybe $100 to $150 per week. Basically living paycheck to paycheck because the cost of living in Australia is completely cooked. My point is, how the fuck am I supposed to save for a house when you got houses like this going for $1 million? Let's just say I cut back on some of my expenses and I was saving $200 a week. times $200 by 52 weeks of a year, that makes 10 grand. Meaning I would have to save for 20 fucking years to save for a 20% deposit on a home in Australia. Meaning I'm gonna be fucking 40 years old before I end up putting this deposit down on this house. And that's also assuming the house prices don't go up in the next 20 years, which obviously it fucking is. The thing that's fucking crazy though is I always scroll on my phone, right? And I see these kids making so much money from their phone. I make 50K in a year. These cunts are making 50K in a month. And I keep thinking to myself, why the fuck can that not be me? And look, even though I'm super skeptical about the whole thing, I've decided I'm gonna give it a crack because this job is not fucking working. So what I'm gonna do is document my journey here on my Instagram. Drop me a follow if you wanna see the journey. And let's fucking do it, bro. If you hate your job too, drop me a follow. We're in this together. Let's do it.
This month, we are going to halve our grocery bill, and let me show you how we're gonna do it. Last month, I calculated we went to the grocery store 13 separate times. Guys, this is not a new concept, but it's the top-up shops that end up tipping over your grocery budget. As a family of 5, 2 adults and 3 kids, we spend on average $1,500 a month on groceries, which includes nappies as we are still in that stage of life. So we are going to change nothing but the amount of grocery shops we do. We'll be doing all our usual cooking and ensure we're eating yummy, healthy foods and snacks, just no top-up shops. This is what our fridge and freezer currently look like halfway through the first fortnight. While filming this, I was making a stir fry from some veggies that were on their way out and the leftover steak. I can already see we have ingredients to make a steak pie with some of the beef in the freezer and the puff pastry, and fried rice with our eggs, and also the frozen bacon and frozen veggies, and we've got loads of rice. So follow along to see the end result of how much we reduce our grocery bill by with doing no changes to what we buy or eat and just reducing our grocery shop visits.
And then there are the gifts, the part of Christmas that once brought excitement and wonder. But in 2025, gifts have become symbols of struggle. Parents are forced to scale back, buying smaller presents, cheaper toys, or nothing at all. Children wake up to stockings that feel emptier, not because their parents don't care, but because survival has taken priority. The joy of giving has been replaced with guilt. Families explain to their kids why Santa can't afford the same gifts anymore. Couples skip exchanging presents to pay bills. Pensioners send cards instead of gifts because groceries have already drained their savings. Christmas isn't about abundance anymore, it's about survival. And survival shouldn't be the baseline in a wealthy nation. Yet for Australians, even the act of celebrating has become a luxury, proof that the cost of living crisis has reached into the most sacred traditions.
It is that time of the week. We've just picked up our groceries. We've got a big boy today. Let's see what we got. We have some ham. These are our fish fillets. We have got some bacon. We've got some yummy bread, some peach slices, and I've just realized that we do not have a can opener. Some deodorant. Never tried these flavors, but smells. Let's go. We've got some eggs, some little containers, a 2 for deal for our body wash soap, our garlic bread, some lettuce, blues. We've got some shrubs. Yuck. The worst half a pineapple. How are they even allowed to give that to us? We've got some watermelon. We've got a refill of our spray and wipe. Look at that, 2 different flavors. We've got some popcorn, 2 for deal again, we were out of barbecue sauce, 1 tin of tomatoes and 1 of our pasta sauce, sesame oil. In this bag we have our chocolate milk, kiwi fruit, some tomatoes, got a net of avocado, big bag of oranges, got some frozen mango pieces, got some pink dragon fruit chunks. Have 2 lots of the bolognese mince, 2 lots of steaks, these are our favorite steaks, cheese slices, we got 1 of these, and then I got 4 of the 600ml ones. We've got some milk, some spring onions for broccolini, a normal broccoli, these like mini bananas this week. School snacks as well this week, we've got some Pringles, pad thai noodles, curly pasta, this has very quickly become my favorite pasta choice. We trade all different flavors of Winnie food. Finally, we got some Pepsi Max as per usual. We say bye-bye.
Yeah, this comment is absolutely right. Australia is bloody cooked. And then you've got the government saying productivity is down. No shit, productivity is down. If people are working harder than ever, and most people I know, they're working their full-time job, they've got a couple of side hustles, and they still can't afford a house, they still can't have a future for themselves or for their kids, no wonder productivity is down. You know, we have a serious problem when people who are university qualified, and I'm talking like engineers, doctors, lawyers, healthcare professionals, teachers, people who are in really high demand, these people can't afford to live where they are required to work. That is a serious issue. No wonder productivity is down. I think a lot of young Australians are in this position now where they're like, what's the point? I did everything that I was required to do, all these things that were promised to me for following the right path that was set for me and doing the right thing by society. It's actually not bringing me any happiness. It's not giving me the things I was promised. So what's the point? What am I doing? What are we doing? What's everyone doing? Because yeah, at this point, I'm working my ass off to rent my landlord's fuck-ass small mold-infested studio, and I don't know, like, is it bad to want a little bit more for my life? Is it bad to want to go travel and see the world and do what makes me happy? Like, I don't know.
I'm gonna break the myth. No, it's not easy to move to Australia permanently. It is very hard to immigrate long term. For all the working holiday visas, students, or just people that want to come here and think it's going to be a piece of cake, that you're going to earn a lot of money, that work is going to be super easy to find, I'm here to tell you that's not the case. Especially if you don't have any skills in hospitality or like mechanics or construction or healthcare and stuff like that. You literally just have like academic experience or just like a master's degree in marketing or stuff like that. It's going to be nearly mission impossible to stay. You need to have skills that are on the shortage skills list to be able to stay. Otherwise you might have to study and stuff like that, but then that's going to take you years and that's going to take a lot of money, because Australian employers need to prove that they can't find Australians to do the job that you're applying for. So that means you really need to be good at what you do, and mainly you need to have skills that they don't have, which is manual skills for the majority. I just want to be honest, like, because a lot of people think that they come here and it's going to be super easy to find a job and to stay, but it's really hard. Like, it's really hard, and most people spend about 20 to 100k to try and immigrate here long term, and easily up to 10 years. I'm not kidding. So yes, the Australian dream is a thing, but to be honest, it's much harder to have than what you think it is.
I just went to the shops. I had to grab a few really quick items. In fact, I grabbed 6 items. 6 things in this bag. Can you tell me how much you think that costs? Dishwashing tablets, Earth's Choice. These were on special. Not a big special, but special nonetheless. Item number 1. Item number 2. Mission wraps. Item number 3. A bag o' salad. Item number 4. A teeny tiny bag of shaved parmesan. Item number 5. Gnocchi. And item number 6. The only sausages that I will eat, sausages, peppercorn, extra lean. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. How much do you think my 6 items cost me? Let me know in the comments. I am dying with this. This isn't as bad as it has been, but I don't think we can afford to live anymore. We have a spare bedroom, but it's not like I can rent it out. We have a child. You can't just have a rando living in your house. Living in your house? Anyway, let me know what you think this all came to. I live within half an hour to 40 minutes of the city, so I'm not in a rural area. I think you call that metropolitan, maybe. Winner gets to comfort me. Winner gets to comfort me. Winner gets a shout out to my 3 followers. Winner gets to pay my therapy bills. Winner gets to name my next sourdough starter. Winner gets just job well done. Job well done. That's what the winner gets. Job well done.
So, mahal ba yung grocery dito sa Australia? So, for today's video, ipapakita ko sa inyo yung nagagastos ng family of 3, 2 adult, and 1 10-month-old. So, disclaimer lang, ito kasi yung diet namin. We spend money talaga para sa food. So, kung sa ibang bagay nagtitipid kami, pero sa pagkain, medyo mahirap siya tipidin kasi importante talaga yung pagkain. So, huwag nyo titipirin yung sarili nyo when it comes to food. So, papakita ko sa inyo para magkaroon kayo ng idea. So, ito lahat yung mga napamili na amin. It costs $240 para sa normal grocery namin is $200, but this time medyo nag-exceed kami. So, papakita ko sa inyo kasi para magkaroon kayo ng idea din. So, ito, steak, tas chicken, kasi more on high protein yung namin, diet namin. Itong chicken din, tapos beef, means, salmon, potato, eggs, ito 18 pieces na yung egg niyan, virgin coconut oil, honey, yogurt na maraming protein din, tapos ito, smoked paprika, nagbili na lang ako ng mga herbs, tsaka sauce. Tapos itong tubig kasi ginagamit ito ng anak ko, hindi pa siya nakakapag-inom ng normal water, and then normal tap water tapos ito lang, panlinis ng bahay. Itong, mura pala tong, nila dito, pasta. Tapos, mga protein, tuna, tapos itong canned goods. Guys, and itong blueberries and strawberries, apple, apple tuloy. Ito yung pala yung banana, tapos ito yung apple, tapos tomato, tapos cheese. Kung makikita nyo, wala kami masyadong binili mga snacks kasi diet talaga, no? So, ito yung healthy snacks lang na makakain namin. Not the same time, ito sa anak ko. Kinakain niya. 2 lang binili namin. Tapos itong noodles. So, ayan. Ito na yung mga napamili natin. So, kung i-convert natin to sa Pilipinas, it will cost 8,700 din. So, hindi rin talaga siya ganun karami, no? Pero, ito pala, meron pala akong nakita sa Aldi na may ganito pala sila din. Ngayon ko lang napansin doon. Yung parang cubes, tapos chicken cubes and beef cubes. So, normally sa Asian shop ako bumibili. But now, I found it in Aldi. So, doon na tayo bibili. So guys, ayan, para magkaroon kayo ng idea kung pamilya nyo pupunta dito sa Australia. So depende sa kung kinakain nyo, pero mga gastos talaga is around $150 pataas. So ayan, so na nagtanong sa akin, Kuya Mumboy, ito na yung estimated na magagastos nyo sa grocery. Depende na lang kung gaano kayo katipid. Pero please, huwag nyo tipirin ng sarili when it comes to pagkain. Kung kaya naman is mag-spend talaga ng time or pera para sa pagkain.
So here we are, Christmas in Australia, the season that once promised joy, abundance and togetherness now feels like a mirror reflecting the nation's collapse. What used to be a holiday of celebration has become a holiday of survival. Families are struggling to afford groceries, rent is swallowing paychecks, inflation is punishing every household, and the cost of living has turned even the simplest traditions into luxuries. Because let's be honest, this isn't just about Christmas, it's about dignity. It's about the quiet humiliation of knowing that even the holidays, the one time of year meant for joy, have been stolen by systemic failure. Christmas was supposed to be untouchable, a time when families could forget their struggles, gather around the table and share in abundance. But now, the table itself tells the story of collapse. What used to be a spread of roast meats, seafood, desserts and drinks has been stripped down to bare essentials. Parents ration portions, skip dishes, and cut back on traditions that once defined the holiday. The joy of giving has been replaced with guilt. Parents explain to their children why Santa can't afford the same gifts anymore. Couples skip exchanging presents to pay bills. Pensioners send cards instead of gifts because groceries have already drained their savings. Christmas isn't about abundance anymore, it's about survival. And survival shouldn't be the baseline in a wealthy nation. Behind every empty stocking, behind every stripped down Christmas table is a story. A family forced to choose between paying rent and buying gifts. A single parent working 2 jobs, still unable to afford a proper holiday meal. A student skipping celebrations altogether because their budget has already collapsed under rent and groceries. A pensioner sitting alone, unable to afford travel, gifts, or even a festive meal. These aren't isolated struggles, they're everywhere, they're daily, they're the quiet crisis no one wants to name. And the human cost is devastating. Relationships strained, communities fractured, mental health collapsing, people living in cars, in tents, in motels, while landlords expand portfolios and politicians give speeches about resilience. And yet, the government pretends this is fine. They call it market forces. They say it's challenging. They frame it as global pressures. But it's not global when Christmas dinner costs double. It's not temporary when families are forced out of their homes. It's not resilience when people are living in cars. They'll say Australians are resilient, that they're adaptable, that they're resourceful. But resilience isn't a policy. Adaptability isn't a solution. Resourcefulness isn't a safety net. These are survival mechanisms. And survival shouldn't be the baseline in a wealthy nation. The truth is simple. The government knows. They know the rent is too high. They know the wages are too low. They know the cost of living is crushing households, but they're not fixing it because they're not feeling it, because they benefit from it, because they own the homes, they sit on the boards, they write the policies, they cash the checks. Australia sells itself as paradise, beaches, sunshine, opportunity, stability. But what does it mean when the people who live here don't believe it anymore? What does it mean when citizens feel trapped, exploited, and betrayed? What does it mean when the lucky country feels like a scam? It means the identity is broken, the myth is shattered, the brand is hollow. Because if working full-time still leaves you broke, if rent eats half your income, if groceries feel like ransom notes, and if the government keeps gaslighting you into thinking it's your fault, then what exactly are we proud of? Australia isn't losing its dignity because of global pressures. It's losing it because of choices, because of priorities, because of cowardice. And yet, you're expected to stay quiet, to keep working, to keep paying, to keep pretending. Because if you speak up, you're entitled. If you complain, you're ungrateful. If you demand better, you're radical. But silence doesn't fix collapse. Silence doesn't feed families. Silence doesn't pay rent. Silence doesn't restore dignity. Silence just protects the people in power. And Australians are done being silent, done being polite, done being gaslit, done being blamed. Because when everyone is struggling, it's not a coincidence. It's not a phase, it's not a personal failure. It's a system failure, and systems can be changed. So what now? What happens when the people wake up? When they stop pretending, when they stop apologizing, when they stop blaming themselves? Change happens, pressure builds, silence breaks, systems shake. Because this isn't just about economics, it's about dignity, about fairness, about the right to live without fear of rent day, about the right to exist without humiliation.